Okay, so 3 movies in, and this is the one that is the template for almost all Bond films to come. Moving away from strict adaptations of Ian Fleming's books and carving for the film series its own path forward. Decades later, this is the definitive James Bond film. And this time we mean it for realsies, no takebacks. It's 1964's Goldfinger. For the third Bond film, director Guy Hamilton was brought in, and he brought with him a subtle but important change in the way Bond films felt. Whereas the first 2 films were rooted in a grounded, sorta reality, Goldfinger would float about 2 inches above the ground, being slightly silly in places, like your grandmother after her second beer. It all works so well, at least in Goldfinger, and the question moving forward for producers Broccoli and Saltzman was just how drunk they could get Grandma before the intervention. Goldfinger the movie is based on Goldfinger the book. Like Goldfinger the book, Goldfinger the movie is about a plot by Goldfinger the man. Goldfinger the man, the book and the movie is all about the lust for gold, so it's not an ironic title by any stretch of the imagination. Auric Goldfinger is up to no good, possibly smuggling gold, and Bond is assigned to investigate. Goldfinger is assisted by his henchman Oddjob, a mute chauffeur and millinery murderer. Oddjob would become the archetype for all the best henchmen of the series, physically stronger than Bond, and with a unique twist. In this case, he throws a hat, like Super Mario, except Oddjob decapitates statues. Lousy statues had it coming. As we said, Goldfinger is a gold fetishist, which makes having a name like Goldfinger even more disturbing.
This is gold, Mr. Bond. All my life I've been in love with its color. I welcome any enterprise that will increase my stock.
He has a plot to enter the US gold depository at Fort Knox, and with the help of some gangsters who smuggled bits and bobs, he's built a small atomic device.
Well, if you explode it in Fort Knox, the entire gold supply of the United States will be radioactive for 57 years.
Goldfinger details his plans to his gangster friends, but not with something as mundane as a PowerPoint or a pointy stick. Goldfinger's keynote speech has special lighting, massive models on hydraulic lifts, and a practiced sales pitch. And his version of one more thing is that he just kills everyone anyway.
I did enjoy your briefing. So did I.
So by now, you can see, logic has well and truly left the building in favour of crowd-pleasing set pieces.
Forgive me, Mr. Bond, but I must arrange to separate my gold from the late Mr. Solo.
And I'm not complaining for 1 second. Goldfinger is one hell of an entertaining film, untainted by the fact that the Bond producers would return to the same well dozens of times, just like how a young Bruce Wayne kept pestering his parents about going to the theatre. Goldfinger has its tongue planted firmly in its cheek, which is to say it doesn't take itself too seriously at all, and it lets the audience in on the joke.
Shocking.
Gadgets abound, but of course the most famous is Bond's new car, the now iconic Aston Martin DB5, with revolving license plates, and of course a premium sunroof option.
Ejector seat? You're shitting me.
The smoke, by the way, isn't a gadget, it's just a faulty exhaust system. The Aston Martin was so iconic that whenever the series wanted to remind you of Sean Connery, they trot out the DB5. It's like how the British seem to think the 1966 World Cup result somehow remains relevant in the 21st century.
Goldfinger!
Goldfinger, of course, has the song sung by Shirley Bassey, which again is the gold standard by which all other Bond themes are measured or weighed. It's a great song in its own right, influential in the way that every second Bond song to date sounds like somebody trying to riff on Goldfinger. Man, that last note is killer.
Jesus Christ, Shirley.
Back for his third outing as James Bond was Sean Connery, and he's clearly having a great time here.
My dear girl, there are some things that just aren't done, such as drinking Dom Perignon 53 above a temperature of 38 degrees Fahrenheit. That's as bad as listening to the Beatles without earmuffs.
M is back, as is Miss Moneypenny, but director Hamilton suggested a pretty important change to Q, instructing Desmond Llewellyn to be slightly frustrated in dealing with Bond.
And incidentally, we'd appreciate its return, along with all your other equipment. Intact for once when you return from the field.
Something that would make every subsequent scene with Q the highlight of even the dullest Bond movie.
Black thunderbolt.
It's not a Bond film without girls, and while one gets killed by being painted head to toe with gold paint,
I don't care if she's gold, so long as the collar's and cuffs match.
and another is mistaken for a garden statue by Oddjob. The third. Yes, the third is...
My name is Pussy Galore.
Now you can say it now, and it has no meaning, but people were embarrassed by the character's name in the 1960s.
Pussy.
It's like calling the actor from Sherlock Benedict the bitch. Pussy Galore was the Trojan horse that let other much ruder names get through unnoticed. Honor Blackman had made a splash on British TV in The Avengers. No, not that one. But also not quite that one either. The early seasons of that stylish spy series were made in a multi-camera TV studio, recorded almost as if they were live. And Honor Blackman's character, Kathy Gale, was one of the first ass-kicking women on British TV, so she was a natural for a Bond woman who could hold her own. She was also a good 5 years older than Connery at the time, something that didn't happen again in a Bond film for 50 years.
Pushy? More like cougar.
Pussy Galore in the book was a lesbian who was turned around by Bond's seductive charm. Here, her sexuality is more implied.
You can turn off the charm. I'm immune.
But Bond not winning over the Bond woman was not going to fly in the 1960s. Also not flying much in the 1960s, the Spruce Goose, the Hindenburg, and the Big Bopper. Pussy Galore is possibly my favourite 1960s Bond woman due to Honor Blackman's assured performance.
I'm a damn good pilot. Period.
Acting ability wasn't always taken into consideration when casting the female lead in a Bond film, but in this case they got it absolutely right. Harold Sakata was a wrestler, but as menacing as the silent killer Oddjob, and he makes such an impact in this film that his image is the first thing that pops into your head whenever you think of a Bond villain's henchman. Goldfinger 2 is just pitch perfect.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
And we'd see in subsequent films what a difference a strong and interesting villain makes over someone more perfunctory. German actor Gert Frobe, of course, is dubbed, but still with an accent, despite the fact Goldfinger is meant to be English. Of course, almost every Bond villain and Bond woman in the 1960s, particularly if they weren't English or American, were dubbed by other actors. How's Shirley going? Goldfinger is the film that has informed many people's idea of a typical James Bond film. Outlandish villain with equally outlandish plot, cool henchmen, gadgets, Bond being a general know-all show-off.
I'd say it was a 30-year-old fiend indifferently blended, sir. With an overdose of Bombois.
And a cad.
Can you send up a fresh blonde, please?
Sir, this is a hotel, not a brothel.
Is it though?
And of course a brassy soundtrack with a major contemporary recording artist singing the title song. It's also been parodied into infinity by every other spy film. It's easily the greatest Bond film of the 1960s, and the one they always come back to when the series needs a pick-me-up. And that's for a damn good reason. It's great. Wow, nice work Shirley. Have a lemsip. Goldfinger, again being such a smash, meant that another Bond film was going to be released a year later. That sounds great until you realise it's Thunderball. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, or check out some of our other videos.